If you're in the market for a mid-size family sedan, it's pretty hard to ignore the Honda Accord. This nameplate has been in the States for nearly 50 years, and it has always been essentially the enthusiast choice, offering a more sporty driving dynamic, especially next to its arch rival, the Toyota Camry. Now, as you guys know, the latest Camry was fully redesigned for 2025, so this week, as you can see, Honda has loaned us the latest 2025 Accord in this touring trim, which comes standard, of course, with their latest two-motor hybrid powertrain, offering up to 44 mpg combined and just over 200 horsepower underneath the hood. So this week we are driving around in this radiant red pearl Accord Touring, and the big question I want to answer for those of you who are still in the market for a mid-size family sedan: has Honda managed to keep their latest Accord fresh enough to compete against its newer rivals? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the exterior design for this 11th generation Accord, let me go ahead and pop the hood and remind you guys what's powering this thing. Now, when Honda introduced this all-new Accord 2 years ago, they went all in on hybrid powertrains, essentially discontinuing the old 2-liter turbo top engine and making their latest two-motor hybrid system the standard engine on most of the upper trims. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, you're gonna still find a transverse mounted engine, and that's because the Accord continues to ride on their global car architecture that was first introduced a couple of years ago on the TLX. The Accord still also only comes with front-wheel drive, and that's kind of a big downside compared to rivals. The Accord is the only mid-size family sedan, I believe, that doesn't offer all-wheel drive as an option, which I actually think is a problem. But of course, Honda says that about 58% of Accord buyers for this generation have been choosing the hybrid, and that's because it comes standard on 4 of the 6 trim levels for this car. So it combines a 2-liter naturally aspirated direct injection double overhead cam 4-cylinder with essentially 2 electric motors. One is the primary traction motor that provides the power to the drive wheels, while the other is a motor generator that helps to recharge the 1.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Now, the gas engine on its own delivers 146 horsepower and 134 foot-pounds of torque. The electric motor on its own delivers 181 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. Honda says the combined horsepower figure is 204, which is actually on the low end for the segment. The new Camry offers up to 232 horsepower combined when you guys go for the all-wheel drive Camry Hybrid. Now, of course, the torque is the 247. You can't technically add the 2 torque figures together. And the transmission in this vehicle is very unique. Honda calls it an eCVT, but it's technically more a direct drive transmission. And that's because the transmission has the ability to basically decouple the gas engine to drive it directly, but primarily it's gonna pull its power from the electric traction motor and the gas engine, which, as you heard, just came on, functions as a generator to recharge that 1.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It's all very complex stuff. Leave it to Honda, of course, to make the powertrain very complex, but at the same time, Honda has always been an engine company first and foremost. Now, fuel economy is rated at 46 in the city, 41 on the highway. That's on regular gas. It's a little bit less on the touring trims and the sport trims because of the bigger 19-inch wheels. The fuel tank capacity is 12.8 gallons. You're looking at around 500 plus miles of range on a full tank. That's very impressive. And like I said earlier, front-wheel drive is only available. There is no all-wheel drive, although Honda could easily add it if they pulled it from the CR-V hybrid, which also comes with a variation of this powertrain. Now, the company doesn't quote a 0 to 60 time. The quickest time we've gotten before 2 years ago was around 6.5 seconds, so we'll try it out when we get this vehicle out on the road. It has a top speed of around 125 miles an hour, and as this car sits, it weighs in around 3,500 pounds, around 300 pounds heavier versus the gas-only Accord, which continues to offer just that 1.5 turbo with a regular CVT and around 192 horsepower. I'll save that for, of course, a separate review. But closing the hood, as you guys saw, is supported by a prop rod. Let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling of the Accord, which honestly has not changed at all since this generation came out back in 2023. In fact, the Accord is technically due for a refresh. I'm expecting that to show up potentially next year for the 2026 model year. And this is kind of where I have my issue with the Accord, because this car has always been the sportier option versus the Camry, but it certainly doesn't look that way anymore, especially next to the new Camry. I do like the exterior color of my test car. This is radiant red metallic. It's an extra charge. It certainly looks good with the lines of the Accord Touring. The headlights you can see are the reflector style LEDs. They're standard on all trims. They include an LED daytime running light, LED turn signal. The reflector housing for the LEDs look a little bit cheap. The grille, as you can see, has the Honda logo there, which houses the radar sensor for their Honda sensing system. But overall, the look of this car just doesn't scream aggression to me. It doesn't scream sportiness. I also really don't like how this area here is unpainted plastic. which I'm hoping Honda will clean this up for a refresh. The front bumper also looks very pedestrian. The sport models include that little silver piece at the lower fascia with this kind of pronounced front splitter. You have functional air intakes, obviously, along with actual parking sensors. No fog lights on the car, which fog lights would have really looked good, especially on the sport and up trims. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the design. I actually think the 10th generation Accord looked better from the front end versus the current 11th generation. So I'm hoping they'll add some kind of aggression for the refresh. The new Camry just looks really good. So I think Honda's design team has some work to do to give that same aggression for the Accord. Now moving around the side profile, you can see this is actually their flagship sedan, and it got a growth spur for this generation, about 3 inches longer than the old Accord. At 195.7 inches long with a 111.1 inch or 0.4 inch wheelbase. It has the same wheelbase, but again, Honda essentially lengthened the front and rear overhang. This vehicle is around 73.2 inches wide, so the width didn't change. The height also stayed pretty much the same. And then as you can see, the touring grade that I'm showing you here comes with these unique 19-inch wheels, which have a machined look with the black inner spoke. It's got like a double 6-spoke design. The brakes are 12.5 inches at the front for the rotor diameter, around 11.8 at the rear. All independent suspension with this car, but no adaptive dampers. You don't typically find that in this class of vehicle. You can see that gloss black along the front splitter carries over around the side skirt for the vehicle. I also like how there's a really nice full paint finish. No black accents. The mirrors are body colored. They have integrated turn signals, as you can see. No 360 camera on this car, which I find to be infuriating given the price. And then Honda doesn't offer like a black painted roof like some competitors, and they also don't offer a panoramic sunroof. A sunroof comes standard when you guys go for the new SE trim and up. That essentially replaces the EX trim. Remember, if you guys want a gas-only Accord, you have to buy an LX or an SE. The Sport and Up trims will come with the hybrid powertrain. Now looking at the rear, from this angle, this is where the Accord kind of gives off a more Audi-like German vibe. It almost looks like a Sportback, like a hatchback in its design. This is where I think the new Accord looks better than the previous generation. Although I will say that the Sport has a rear spoiler at the back that looks a little bit more sporty and aggressive. All Accords will have kind of like this built-in duckbill spoiler in the actual rear trunk lid design. You can see the taillights are a full LED. They include LED turn signals, LED reverse lights, LED tail and brake lights. You can see it also has that very trendy LED light bar. This is where the Accord reminds you a lot of an Audi A7. There is a relatively small Honda badge here. Lots of badging here. There's a hybrid touring badge, which you can also black out if you'd like. You can see also the rear bumper has some gloss black there and no visible exhaust tips. That's where the old Accord had like a really nice prominent dual exhaust system. Instead, you just have one exhaust outlet that's tucked in under the passenger side of the rear bumper. Again, it gives the Accord that, you know, electrified, cleaner look that's very trendy, but I think a lot of people really preferred the sportier design language of the previous generation. Now, of course, even though this looks like a Sportback, it's actually a conventional trunk when you open it up, but you can see the Accord's trunk is at least huge, 16.7 cubic feet of space. The battery pack lives underneath the rear seat, doesn't take up any space underneath here. You still have a 60-40 split fold-down rear seat, along with the ability to do so from back here. And then if you look underneath the floor here, there is a nice little storage area. No spare, you just have a fix-a-flat kit. So that's something that customers may want to add. But again, considering the fact that this has a hybrid powertrain, the cargo capacity is among the best for a sedan if you guys plan to use this to haul a lot of stuff. Now moving on to the interior of the latest 2025 Accord. Before we get inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the latest Intelligent Access key fob that Honda uses on most of their models. It's a nice size feeling key. It feels good in your hands. It has the usual buttons here for lock, unlock, remote start, along with a pop open for the trunk and a panic function. Honda sadly does not offer a phone as a key function like some competitors, but it is a nice feeling key. As you see, the door handle has that conventional pull style. If you touch this little area here with the 3 ridges, it'll lock the doors. No power folding mirrors, sadly. This car does offer a walkaway auto lock feature, which is not something you can find on the arch rival, the Toyota Camry. When I touch the back of the door handle, that will unlock the door for you via the sensor. And then looking at the interior, you can see my particular test car has a really nice color combination. The radiant red on the outside is complemented by this really plush gray leather interior. So this is actually a real leather, which is not something you can find in the Toyota Camry, which uses their synthetic leather. These seats are extremely plush and comfortable. They look like they've been pulled out of an Acura. The leather and the padding feels really nice. They also hold you in place decently well in aggressive driving. You do have a 10-way power driver's seat, just a 4-way power passenger seat, however. So that could be a problem if you guys are looking for lumbar or height adjustment. You also get 2-person memory here. On the driver's side, these seats are also heated and ventilated, but you have to go for the top touring trim to get the heated and ventilated seats. You don't get the heated and ventilation function on the EXL or the Sport L trim, but you do still get the memory function on those lower luxury or leather-lined trims. You can see the door panel has a soft touch injection molded plastic, which has a high quality graining. This silver painted plastic door handle feels nice. Leather here. Nice padded leather over here as well, though only the 2 front windows are up down. The rears are not one touch down or up, which I was hoping Honda would have made that standard, especially on this trim. Hard touch plastic down here, and then this trim is also the only trim that includes their 12-speaker Bose premium sound system. The other trims will just have an 8-speaker Honda branded premium sound, so you kind of have to go to the touring trim. Honda gatekeeps a lot of the upscale features that most buyers, I think, particularly want. Now, stepping inside, you can see it's got that typical sedan step-in height, which is kind of low. As I shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. It does sound better to me versus the last Camry that I was driving around in. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can see the power button to start everything up is right here, kind of blocked by the windshield wiper stalk. But when you push the button, you can see the gauges do a nice sweep. The vehicle basically will just say EV and then ready, because remember, this is a full hybrid that actually functions primarily more like an electric vehicle. Occasionally, I just felt the engine come on. It will come on to recharge the battery pack, but remember, the gas engine really functions primarily as a generator to recharge the traction motor. Now, as you can see, with the touring trim, you also get a 6-inch heads-up display, which is kind of nice that Honda at least included a heads-up display, but all Accords will basically have their 10.2-inch digital cluster, which is a little bit on the small side. Some competitors have a 12.3, but at least it's standard equipment on all trims. Upper dash, you can see, has a soft touch injection molded plastic. The steering wheel also feels pretty nice with high quality leather. Paddles to control the regen braking. There's like 4 different levels of regen braking. And then new this year is a standard heated steering wheel on the touring grades, which again, gatekeeping from Honda. You have to go for the top trim to get everything. The wheel itself has a manual tilt telescoping adjustment. It's pretty easy to get a comfortable driving position with this car. The horn, it sounds pretty much as I expect. A nice tone considering the size of this vehicle. And then you can see the center display houses their latest 12.3-inch infotainment system. So if you guys go for a hybrid trim, which is a sport and up, you'll get the 12.3-inch display, but the hybrid is the only trim to get built-in Google with the Google Maps built in and the Google Assistant with access to the Google Play Store. If you guys go for an LX or an SE trim, you'll have a small 7-inch display, which doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. You have to plug in your phone via wired connection. I find that to be infuriating, considering this is Honda's, most expensive flagship, or not most expensive, but their flagship sedan. I think the 12.3 should be standard, and Google should honestly be standard as well. You shouldn't have to pay extra to get the Google software built in. You can see Google Maps is very beautifully rendered. It looks like what you find on your computer at home. It's very quick and snappy and responsive. Go back to the home screen there. There's all your different sources. I don't have my phone connected because I'm using it to film audio, and it messes with the audio. There's also a power flow meter here that shows you how much juice the battery pack has. It's a self-recharging hybrid, so every time you hit the brakes or the gas engine comes on, it helps to recharge the battery pack. This is really, good. I like Honda's system here when it has the Google built in. I just don't like it on the baser trim. So I'm expecting for the refresh, Honda will make the 12.3 standard, but I'm expecting them to also still gatekeep the Google functionality with the top touring, but they may surprise me. They may include that for the refresh model coming hopefully next year. Now, putting the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your backup camera, which has trajectory, it has distance markers, it has 3 different angle views, but still no 360 camera. Honda does not offer that on the Accord at any price. I suspect they keep that, again, gatekeep it for Acura. The upper dash has a nice soft touch injection molded plastic. This area here is also nicely padded. The dash vent layout looks pretty nice with this kind of metal looking grill part. It's got these really high quality feeling, joysticks to control the airflow, or the vent for the airflow and whatnot. There's some piano black plastic here. You have these really satisfying knobs to control the dual zone climate. And you also have your heated and cooled seat controls here, which is actually a separate button, which I appreciate. Your heated steering wheel, like I showed you, is right here. And then you can see down here, there's a wireless phone charging pad, which fits any of the bigger iPhones easily. Although I will say that the charging pad worked fine. I did notice my phone overheated significantly, so it's not raised. It doesn't have any ventilation like some of the newer wireless phone chargers. You have two USB-C charging ports here. I love how this has a traditional shifter for the transmission, which Honda calls a CVT, but it's technically not a CVT. It's got nice leather around here. If you hit your knee against that, it'll be nice and comfortable. You can see big cup holders here. Your drive mode selector is here. There's basically four: an eco mode, a normal, a sport, and an individual mode. The individual mode, however, does not allow you to customize the suspension. So it basically allows you to customize the powertrain, the steering, the adaptive cruise, and the gauge layout. But again, there's no adaptive dampers on this car. That allows you to basically go from an auto EV to putting it into a full EV mode, which it will allow you to do only if you have enough charge in the battery pack. You have an electronic parking brake here, nice padded, really padded center console. If you open that up, it's actually big. It fits all my camera equipment in there nicely. There's a 12-volt power outlet in there, which is nice and tucked away. I mentioned earlier, the seats are really plush. They're comfortable and supportive. I will say, however, the cooled function does not work very well. I barely feel the cooled seats in hot air or in hot weather conditions. Unlike some competitors, which can feel freezing, this I barely noticed was on, so keep that in mind if you guys are looking for really nice working cooled seats. The Honda systems don't work extremely well, which is a little disappointing. The glove box, you can see, is damped, not lined with felt. It's a bin style. It offers some additional covered storage there, which is nice. The 12-speaker Bose stereo also sounds good. If you guys are an audiophile, you're going to want that, but again, you have to go for the top touring trim to get it. You have an auto-dimming rearview mirror, but no digital camera rearview mirror. You also have LED map lighting, but no ambient interior lighting, not much. At least you only have these little lights here, and I believe you also have some lights in the footwells, but nothing like what you'll find from some competitors. The sunroof, as you can see, is traditional manual sunshade. It also tilts and opens up to vent air, but no pano roof, which is something you can get on the Camry and the Sonata. So that's pretty disappointing. But overall, the interior is still a pretty nice place to spend time. It's comfortable, it's well made, not a single squeak and rattle in here. And the tech in this car with the Google system is good, but just keep in mind, no 360 camera, which is fine, kind of infuriating. And if you guys don't get this trim, you're kind of shafted. So I'm hoping Honda will expand the availability of some of the features into the lower trims, especially for the refresh coming next year. But let's go ahead and go take a look at the back seat area. And this is where the Accord definitely has an edge over some of its rivals. You can see, because the Accord is so large, you do have one of the bigger back seats in the segment. Just over 40 inches of legroom is definitely among the best in the segment. The Camry, I think, offers 3 less inches of legroom. Material quality also carries over. You have soft touch injection molded plastic here, leather and leather over here. Heated seats, 3-level heated seats only on this trim, which is nice. Down here, it's all hard touch plastic. No retractable shades. You don't typically find that in this class. These seats also still fold down in a 60/40 manner, which you can do from only, it looks like, the inside or from the trunk area. There's no release back here. The battery pack does live underneath this back seat. There's a little vent right here that allows the cooling for the battery pack. It's technically an air-cooled battery pack, which could be a problem, you know, for those of you who are constantly in hot climates. It's not a water-cooled battery pack, but it should be good. I mean, Honda's engineering team probably worked on making sure the longevity of this is good. But once you get back here, you can see, shut the door, there's a ton of legroom back here. This is essentially my driving position, tons of space to stretch out, good foot space as well. There is a hump here, which is kind of annoying considering the fact that this car doesn't have an all-wheel drive system. You do have rear seat air vents, 2 USB-C charging ports. I think Honda made that standard for 2025, which is a nice feature, but if you want the heated seats back here, 3 levels, you have to again go for this trim. I can easily get back here and cross my legs and get comfortable. So this definitely has a much better back seat than the Camry. Headroom space, you can see this has a little cutout for the sunroof. You do have LED lighting here, along with this little armrest that folds down, gives you 2 cup holders, fixed in position head restraints. But once I sit back here and sit my head back, you can see I have maybe an extra inch of headroom clearance, so it's not a lot, but this is definitely a comfortable back seat. So if you plan to use this as an actual family car, the Accord offers one of the biggest back seats in the midsize family sedan segment. So here we are back behind the wheel of the 11th generation Honda Accord. It's kind of crazy that it's been 2 years since I had a chance to do a full review for you guys. As you guys also know, the midsize family sedan segment has kind of been shrinking over the years. We just lost another competitor, the Nissan Altima. 2025 is the last model year for that vehicle, but the Accord has always been consistently number 2 in the sales race, although right now the Camry is technically outselling this car 2-to-1, which kind of is shocking because the current Accord is still a really good option for those of you who want a midsize family sedan. Now, the model that we're driving is the Accord Touring, which comes standard with the hybrid powertrain. In fact, Honda says around 60% of Accord buyers have been choosing the hybrid, and that's because most of the upper trims, or at least 4 of the 6 trims, come standard with the hybrid powertrain, up to 204 horsepower combined from a gas engine and a 2-motor electric combo, paired up with a very unique eCVT transmission. The last time I 0 to 60 tested one, I got 6.4 seconds. Let's go ahead and see what we can get this time. The vehicle is in sport mode. We'll brake torque it. All right, now when you brake torque the car, it actually tells the transmission to not create those fake shifts, and we got 6.47 seconds again, so that's pretty consistent with the last Accord that I tested about 2 years ago. I also want to point out that time is around a half a second faster versus its direct rival, the Toyota Camry, which also comes standard with a hybrid powertrain. The last one that I drove a few months ago had the all-wheel drive option, so this is actually a nice showing for Honda. Honda's always been the sportier option compared to Toyota, and it's nice to see that even though the Accord is down on power, it is technically the quicker option versus the Toyota. It's also quicker than the last Hyundai Sonata hybrid that I tested and the last Nissan Altima that I tested with all-wheel drive. Keep in mind, the Altima does not offer a hybrid powertrain. The Sonata, again, does, but no all-wheel drive as well, just like on the Accord, at least not on the hybrid. Let's try another run here, 0 to 60 wise. This time we didn't brake torque it. And when you don't brake torque it, it shifts, which slows down the 0 to 60 time considerably to 7.95 seconds there. Now, that is with the acceleration on a slight uphill curve, so we'll try one more run up ahead to see what it is on flat ground, to see if it, how close it is to that 6.47. A lot of enthusiasts are gonna prefer the way this car drives and accelerates when you don't brake torque it, because it actually creates a very convincing synthesized fake shift sound. Because remember, this is an eCVT, although in a technical sense, this transmission is not an eCVT. It's technically a direct drive transmission because the primary propulsion for this car comes from the 181 horsepower electric traction motor. The gas engine delivers like another 145 horsepower on its own. However, it's never a direct addition. That's because the gas engine, while it can power the front wheels directly, most of the times it is basically functioning as a generator to send, power or electricity back into the 1.1 kilowatt hour battery pack. At higher speeds, it can decouple a few things, and the transmission can basically directly connect the gas engine to the front wheels to give you actual power from the gas engine. But most of the times, this vehicle feels like an electric car. It feels like an electric car where the gas engine comes on and creates those fake shifts where the computer is basically revving up the engine to the exact throttle position that it feels is going to create, again, that kind of sensation of a conventional transmission. And it's a very convincing, hybrid system. It's probably among, in engineering feat, it's definitely among the best that I've ever tested for synthesized simulated shifts. And leave it to Honda, of course, to kind of make that a priority and create a vehicle that feels like that. Now, there is a little bit of wheel spin, as you guys noticed, because it has 247 foot-pounds of torque when you put your foot down. This is where all-wheel drive would be nice to have. I really wish Honda would have just put the all-wheel drive system available in the CR-V hybrid, put that into this car. That would have made, I think, the Accord even more appealing. But in normal day-to-day driving, the Accord is a really easy car to drive with a really nice ride quality, sporty handling dynamics with a good ride. That's really hard to do. Especially, when you're looking at this certain price point. Let's try one more run here. This time I won't brake torque it because I want to see what we can get here when it's not, or when it is shifting, doing those fake shifts. I actually don't even mind the sound of the engine. It's a good sound. 7.42 seconds there, so that is pretty significant, guys. When you brake torque it and it doesn't do those fake shifts, it shaves a second off the 0 to 60 time. So all day long, you'll pretty much be able to do it in this mid 7-second range, but when you brake torque it, this thing is actually the speed king of the segment. At least until I've retested a Hyundai Sonata N-Line, which technically you can't get that with all-wheel drive. But let's go ahead and switch the drive mode out of sport here and just put it into normal. This is how most people are going to drive this car, and the Accord is an excellent commuter car. It's got, like I mentioned earlier, a really comfortable ride coupled with sporty handling dynamics. That's typically kind of hard to do. The seats in this car are also extremely comfortable. The padding in the leather feels really plush. I drove this car on a 2-hour road trip when I picked it up from the airport, and I could do that all day long in this car. It's just a really great commuter car with a quiet interior as well, a quiet engine, but it sounds pretty sweet when you are driving the vehicle more aggressively. The visibility out of the Accord is also good. I can see out of the front, the side, and the rear easily. This car comes with their latest Honda sensing system, which includes lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist, automatic emergency braking. It's got a lane departure warning, which every time I kind of get close to the lane, it does that little annoying beep, which you can turn that off if you don't want to hear that constantly. And there's very little road and wind noise and not a single squeak and rattle in this interior. So really high build quality, comfortable seats, comfortable ride, easy to see out of, easy to drive. I mean, even though this car doesn't offer a digital camera rearview mirror or a 360 camera, you can easily get in this car and just kind of, it feels at home. If you guys are used to Honda vehicles, used to an Accord, trading in your old Accord, this car is definitely going to feel very Acura-like, very refined, and that's a good thing. That's what people are looking for when they're looking for an Accord. They want it to feel sporty, but they also want it to be comfortable, and it almost makes you question why Acura doesn't offer this powertrain in the TLX or any of their other products. It's a wonderful hybrid powertrain that's quick, that's smooth, that's efficient, that also feels conventional. So bravo on Honda for, appealing to those enthusiasts. Now, it is going to be slower than the old Accord 2-liter turbo that you could be trading in, but it's also going to get significantly better gas mileage because this car is rated at 46 in the city, 41 on the highway, about 44 combined. In my week's worth of testing in the highway, and this is going like 75 miles an hour, I was able to get around 44 mpg. 44 mpg is better versus what the EPA claims this car is going to do on the highway, and in around town driving, it did around 45 mpg. So that's excellent gas mileage. In my real world testing as well, coupled with that 13-gallon fuel tank on regular, this car is easily able to do 500 miles of range on a full tank, 500 miles. So again, Honda's hybrid powertrain system here is good. Their latest 2-motor system is basically as good as Toyota's. It's actually quicker to accelerate 0 to 60 wise when you brake torque it. When you don't, it's technically a half a second slower than the Camry. So that's probably why the Camry can feel faster than the Accord. At least from what I remember, the Camry in day-to-day driving in the real world feels quicker. The Accord is only actually quicker if you brake torque it and get rid of the fake shifting. So it kind of shows that the fake shifting, while enthusiasts like it, it actually is worse for a hybrid in terms of acceleration. It should just hold it there and just keep the engine revs high and just give you that maximum power, maximum acceleration. And really for me, the only downgrade or the only downside with the Accord is the fact that Honda still refuses to offer all-wheel drive. It really would make this car even more appealing. I also think that the latest Accord could benefit from offering a panoramic sunroof, a 360 camera would be nice. And plus a sportier looking design on the outside. The look of this car doesn't quite match the handling dynamics, and that could be deceiving, especially for those of you who love the sporty looks of the previous generation Accord. The new one, I think, is definitely in due for a refresh, which it is supposedly coming for the 2026 model year. So with just over 162,000 units sold in America last year, the Accord remains a very good seller for Honda. However, if you look at the numbers, this generation technically hasn't been doing well for the company ever since it came out. Sales have been noticeably lower versus the previous 10th generation. In fact, there was a point where Honda sold well over 350,000 units. Today, as you can see, they struggle to essentially do half that. It looks even worse for Honda when you look at Toyota. Their sales figures of the Camry last year were just under 310,000 units. So Toyota technically outsold the Accord with its Camry nearly 2-to-1. So what exactly gives? Well, I suspect a lot of buyers are probably going into Honda showrooms and buying a CR-V as opposed to an Accord, and that's because CR-V sales have been killing it for Honda. They did well over 400,000 units last year. But also, Honda wanted me to mention the fact that they did move production of the Accord for this generation a couple of years ago from their Marysville, Ohio plant to a new plant in Indiana. And that's because their Ohio plant is going to be retooling to build battery packs and build their upcoming full electric vehicle that is a Honda design. So in that teething process, production of the Accord may have gone down, lowering the availability of this car. But after spending a week with the latest Accord, I have to say this is still a really excellent, well-balanced midsize family sedan that offers that sportier driving dynamics that you expect from the Accord name, while also marrying it with a really comfortable ride quality, a quiet interior, a smooth engine. The engine in this car is actually quieter versus the hybrid engine in the Toyota Camry. and as you guys saw, delivers better performance. 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds is a half a second quicker versus the last all-wheel drive hybrid Camry that I tested, and the Toyota, remember, has significantly more power. So Honda definitely has the driving dynamics right, the ride quality right, the powertrain right. It gets good gas mileage as well. What holds it back, I think, from being a standout is the design. I think the design is a little bit too bland and vanilla, almost like Buick American car-like, although today's Buicks look a lot more stylish than even this Accord. So Honda has some work to do for an upcoming refresh. I also think that they should also include a panoramic sunroof. They need to include a more aggressive front end. Fog lights would be nice to bring back. A 360 camera would also be a nice feature. Those features, again, are all available on the Acura TLX, which the TLX, we have no idea if Acura is going to keep that vehicle around. Sales have been tanking significantly for that car. If they do decide to discontinue it, it would free up space for Honda to offer some of the premium features from the TLX on this car. In reality, though, I still really like the Accord. I just hope for the 2026 refresh, Honda addresses some of the criticisms that I mentioned. It would make this car a lot more appealing. It would draw back the enthusiast buyer again, because I think right now enthusiasts are simply just going to the Camry, because if you don't want to be seen driving an SUV, you don't need the extra practicality. A family sedan, a mid-size family sedan, is basically your go-to vehicle. When you still need that extra space in the back seat and in the trunk, the Accord is still a solid effort. I just think that Toyota, for now, has surpassed the Accord in terms of drivability. Sport-wise, the Accord is a little bit better balanced than the Camry, but the Camry is so darn close, I don't think most buyers are going to notice. And because you can get all-wheel drive, you can get some upscale features like a 360 camera and panel roof on the Camry. It just makes the Toyota much more appealing. Now, if you guys are interested in buying an Accord, pricing for the Accord also certainly doesn't help, because the base version, while you can get an LX with the gas engine for under 29,000 bucks, most of you are going to want to buy the hybrid, which starts at the sport trim level. The sport starts at around $33,000. That's about $5,000 more versus the base price of a Camry LE with the hybrid powertrain. Again, you can get the hybrid Camry with all-wheel drive on all the trims for an extra 1,500 bucks. The Accord basically starts at $33,000 for the hybrid. And keep in mind, the base versions have a smaller 7-inch display. So if you want the gas Accord, I don't recommend it. It has that small 7-inch display without wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Starting, of course, at the Sport, you'll get their bigger 12.3-inch display with wireless CarPlay. But if you guys want basically all the bells and whistles, like the heated and ventilated seats, the Bose premium sound system, the heated steering wheel, the heated back seats, you have to step it up to the Touring grade. The Touring grade is around $4,000 more than a Sport L, which basically marries the EXL's luxury features with the sporty look. The Touring grade, however, is going to come in at just over $40,395. So just under $41,000 makes this about the same price as a Camry XSE with their premium package. Of course, you can option up a Camry to be more expensive, but again, for similar money, I just find the Camry to offer better value, similar fuel efficiency, and even though the Camry is a little bit slower in actual 0 to 60 testing and real-world driving, I find the Toyota to actually feel faster, but the Accord still has the slight edge in terms of seat comfort, in terms of handling dynamics, and in terms of just the smoothness of the engine. So it's going to really just come down to which brand you prefer and if you need all-wheel drive or not. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full detailed overview on the latest 2025 Honda Accord. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.